Aloha, friends and family. Welcome back to the reading of Our Cosmic Origin. Chapter 4, Our Cosmic Spiritual Divine Origin. According to the perennial philosophy of esoteric wisdom, our current humanity has fallen from a higher state of being, or awareness, in forgetting our connection to Source, and as a result, we have been temporarily sleeping in a coma-like state, forgetting that we are celestial beings that descended into the terrestrial experience. We may say that as human beings we have existed for millions of years at least in many galaxies, including the Milky Way. As spiritual beings of light, we have existed for what appears to be infinity. Considering the new evidence, we may say that human beings today are powerful light beings with a major amnesia problem, forgetting their celestial origin. We may now understand that before the existence of the physical realms, the material universe, or the lower heavens, we were light beings, all different sparks or rays of the all-powerful living light that has always existed. In fact, we are all different expressions of this infinite one light, which is the true spiritual meaning of monotheism. So in that regard, we are infinite by nature, since light is infinite. It is the conversion of this light that created the many different vibrational planes of reality, as they appear to be infinite in number. And out of those possible planes of reality, we happen to only know and perceive a small percentage of the entire light energy spectrum. For in the earlier stage of existence, light existed in its purest form, as there was no matter in the pre-material realm. According to quantum observations, this light energy has never been created, nor can it ever be destroyed, as proven by the second law of thermonuclear dynamics, since energy is converted light. Therefore, light and energy are the foundation of what we call God, and it is eternal. The Spirit of God, aka in science, unified field, or in metaphysics, universal life force, is the foundation of all life and existence, and there is nothing that exists outside of this light, for all is contained in it. Now, even though there are multiple planes of reality in identifying our existence, they fall under three major planes of existence: the spiritual, etheric, and physical, as each major plane also consists of varying multiple subplanes. And so due to this extraordinary nature of multiple spheres of reality, it is required to embody different vehicles that have been designed for us to exist in these different planes of light energy vibrations. Therefore, in the highest levels of existence, we have the celestial planes of pure energy known as the luminal dimensions. It is where energy is a pure luminal substance, and according to the esoteric wisdom, this region is beyond the confines of all space and time, and it's really considered the highest level of heaven. So let's call it the always existing spheres. In these planes only the purest light beings reside. This is perhaps what the Urantia material calls the Havona systems of the central universe, or what our cutting-edge science now calls the metaverse. The metaverse is the never-beginning, the never-ending sphere of the eventuated central universe in which, according to the Urantia material, everything comes from. This cosmology will be discussed further in the next chapter. However, it has been revealed that only perfect whole beings of light are able to exist in these eternal realms of the celestial planes. And it is believed that out of these planes, the celestial cosmic Mother, Father, first source, and center became the cause of all things that extended beyond the confines of its always existing spheres of pure light emanation. It is from the first source and center that all was made possible for the celestial spheres to expand out into the outer void of the cosmos, thus beginning what is known in the higher esoteric knowledge as one eternal round, or the expansion of light into outer darkness and its return. However, the process is a matter of taking this light out the outer space level at a time, for space also infinite, and therefore there needs to be organized. We could therefore say that the first expansion or involution of pure light into the outer and first space level gave us the etheric plane of existence, or the middle heavens. It was in this phase that the pure light first began to step down from its pure vibration, becoming converted etheric energy, filling the first space level and the outer realms that surround the divine spheres of the always existing light, the metaverse. We could also say that this etheric energy became the universal matrix, or universal thought form, that later precipitated into the material spheres, or the lower heavens. Now, due to this never-ending, surrounding infinite void of the cosmos as we exist in an omnicentric omniverse, it was prevalent for the prime creator, the first source, cause, and center of all things, to set up a barrier or a wall and a perfect circumference around the eternal spheres. This is what some in the esoteric tradition have called the ring past naught, and its purpose was to prevent the universal light from getting lost deep in the infinite void, overriding organization. This phenomenon also constituted an important universal law, and that is what goes out comes back. In the natural world of nature, this is translated as what goes up comes down, or simply the law of return. Nevertheless, this ring pass does not Nevertheless, this ring pass does not allows the living light to return to its original source, thus creating a perfect cycle of outpouring light and incoming light. This continues until its entire circumference becomes marked by pure light, thus ending one round of the perpetual ongoing architectural work that is being conducted by the universal architect at the center of all that is. In this process, the light is constantly going out. The light that is constantly going out is considered the descending part, or phase, which only marks half of the entire process. And in turn, the returning light that is bouncing off this ring pass, not a barrier, is considered the ascension part of the return of light back to its pure source. Now, this process did not happen overnight, although in the eyes of God it did, for all time is relevant and happening at the same time in the higher levels of the always existing spheres. However, from the third dimensional perspective, it took eons and billions of what we would call Earth years for this process to unfold. In fact, it is well known that by most esotericists and mystics that the long descension process, or what the Eastern teachers have called the outbreath of the expanding godlight, is finally over. We are now experiencing the in-breath, or the coming back of light, as the ascension process takes effect. This explains why our planet is ascending currently. The ascension process could also be known as the electrification or spiritualization of matter as described in the Keys of Enoch. In this progress, as the Earth's frequency raises into the 8 dimensions, the descent phase could be scientifically and metaphysically considered the involution or evolution, or in the higher mysteries, the descent of spirit, light, into matter, material, which is the true metaphysical meaning of the fall of light beings, thus becoming man material. In fact, human beings are the resulting product of this descent of wholesome light beings into the lower levels of the material spheres. Therefore, from top down, mankind originated as whole light beings in the celestial spheres, living without any concept of time as we know it today. In fact, time is a byproduct of linear, limited consciousness and only exists in the confines of the third dimension. On the contrary, time is non-existent in the dimensions higher than the fourth. Considering this, we may conclude that mankind's true origin was in the always existing spheres of pure light when we were all part of a primal singular energy field. Out of this primal energy field, we began to become individualized units of energy as the first phase of the descent occurred. When the middle heavens were formed, it was then that we became spiritual, etheric beings with no material form, or at least not organic. In fact, in our original state as light beings, we didn't inherit form until the creation, extension of the lower heavens, the material spheres, which are also composed of 3 major spheres. Apparently, every major plane of existence is divided by the magical 3 all the way to the point where even man's compositions consist of 3 major aspects: spirit, mind, and body. It was in the second phase of existence that different grades of light energy came to exist as to when the light goes through a prism reflecting multiple spectral radiations. This conversion of the one light into different spectral colors is what allowed all descending light beings of light or sparks of divinity to take the form to accommodate our new environment as we first began operating with etheric vehicles. These were and are our energy bodies that we used in the etheric spheres when we were intelligent without yet a physical form of flesh and bones, organic, and they were 5. In the keys of Enoch, they are revealed as the electromagnetic body of light, the Geometrian body of light, and aka Akka body of light, the Zohar body of light, and the Overself Christ body of light. Again, these bodies are not to be considered physical, material, or organic. They are energetic vehicles to be used in the higher realms, worlds of the etheric spheres. In the aftermath of the conversion of pure light essence into the ether, the material planes finally came into being as the lower heavens were formed into existence. It was during this phase that the descending light etheric beings, us, needed a material vehicle. This vehicle has been revealed through the restored knowledge as the perfect embodiment, Adam Kadmon. It became the last energy matter manifestation for the descending light beings that had their origin in the always existing spheres of the central universe, thus correcting our true origin as made in the image of God. We may now state that the first Adam, our ancestor, was a light being, a full conscious spiritual being who first existed in the 8th dimension of the perfected material form of refined, manifested, non-organic matter. This refined, manifested, non-organic matter being superior than the organic matter was originally made eternal, as explained in the Bible. The point here is that we humans of the earth today were and are light beings that descended from the highest spiritual realms, gradually condensing into organic form. Therefore, it is important to begin to understand that modern man, today's human beings, are all children of the one God, the primal light source of all existence. So we could now begin by reconditioning our minds to see each other as one and the same, not mentioning our environment as well, for everything in existence holds within itself the life essence, universal life force of the light source, which is the same everywhere. Also crucial to understand is that before the creation of the material universe, when we existed in our original habitat and original essence, the celestial spheres, we were all aligned and connected with the great central source, and everything reflected universal unity, sisterhood, and brotherhood. We are all thought of as a collective hive mind. Considering this, we need to correct our limited, invalid belief system that believes mankind is a descendant of the animal kingdom. Mankind is not a descendant of the animal kingdom from the bottom up, as explained through Darwinian evolution. On the contrary, man is a descendant of whole light beings that originated in the higher spheres of the always existing metacentral universe. The animal kingdom was but a phase in the gradual development of the organic vehicle that eventually played a role in the final descent of spiritual beings descending into frozen condensed form. The organic vehicle of flesh and bones, Homo sapiens, which will be explained in greater detail in later chapters. It is important to distinguish us as the true essence of light, spiritual substance inhabiting a temporary mortal physical organic vehicle in order to experience the lower dimensions of congealed dense form, known as the third dimension. We are pure conscious awareness, not our organic body. However, it is equally important to understand that our spirit essence needs to descend into an organic vehicle body in order to successfully complete the ascension process. For true ascension, as we shall see in the integration of spirit and matter, heaven and earth. So in the correction of the jaded misunderstanding of our origin, we humans, on the other hand, have always existed as whole light beings of the highest light that descended into the matter so that we may infuse the light into the lowest spheres of lower vibrations in order to spiritualize matter. Unfortunately, we have mistreated our animals, our earth, and that is why they had become so beastly in nature, whereas before the fall of man, which is the fall of unity consciousness into separate dual consciousness, man and the animals lived in harmony, communicated among each other, and shared collectively as keepers of our planet. For the record, let it be known that Jesus the Christ attested and proclaimed that all of us were sons and daughters of the living God, not just himself. The fact that we are celestial beings capable of ascending like Christ is well understood in the Eastern traditions of India, Tibet, and China. For millenniums, we have been locked into this linear, rigid dimension. We have only perceived our physical body and unfortunately have been conditioned to believe that all we are is physical bodies, when in essence, we are the fire life spirit that gives substance to both our energy vehicles and physical bodies. To make a correction, in the lowest point of creation in the lower heavens, the material spheres, light energy matter was initially intended to vibrate at no lower than the fifth dimensional planes, whereby and matter are in perfect balance. In this phase of being, the matter is more refined and easily able to be manipulated by the power of our light body. The imbalance of this type, however, came about when the fifth dimensional non-organic matter further coalesced into the fourth dimensional semi-inorganic matter and then into third dimensional organic matter, which is the densest. At its densest, it appears to be an extremely solid reality, thus losing its fluidity, connection, and balance with the subtle world of energy. This condition has caused many philosophers and scholars to believe that the world of apparent organic matter is an illusion and that it traps our spirit in our organic body of flesh and bone. Yes and no, because from a higher perspective, descending into the lowest vibrations equals a greater ascent into even higher levels of vibration, expansion, and growth, which is the reason for incarnation and reincarnation. It appears that in this limited third dimension where organic matter seems to be at its most dominant over energy, we are in a fallen state. However, as we ascend into higher levels, densities, then our energy vital self dominates our material form. Maybe that is the reason why for centuries we have only identified ourselves with our physical body while forgetting our original nature as celestial beings of light energy vibration. However, let it be clear that in the higher dimensions, life is more eternal and timeless because of the constant flow of universal life force coming from our light body into our subtler organic form, giving our organic form ageless living for thousands of years, making us appear immortal. On the other hand, in the third dimension, life is less than 100 years, because the organic form is receiving less than 10% of the entire universal life current that flows through our chakras, energy centers. It is this universal life force that flows through us that determines our lifespan. According to the esoteric wisdom, our light body is broken off into 9 energy vehicles, all different vibrations of the same energy field, with the lowest vibrational vehicle being our physical organic shell, which is the only one we see. Perhaps this correlates with the 3 overall planes of reality that are also broken off into 9 sub-dimensional planes of existence. These other bodies are as real as our physical body and exist in the higher vibrating states of energy matter beyond the third dimensional range of dense organic matter. Therefore, since our real composition as humans involves vehicles and aspects of ourselves that exist in the higher dimensions, our goal then would be to integrate those other aspects of ourselves so that we may become whole light beings with a perfected and ascending organic form. This would not only integrate but ultimately ground the higher vibrations with the lower ones, thus reuniting heaven on earth as we shall soon see. In truth, we are powerful celestial beings of light with a major amnesia problem. And as we wake up ascension with our planet into higher dimensions, we will begin to access those vehicles and realize how truly powerful and unlimited we are. This is not science fiction. This is the truth of the matter. We are multi-dimensional beings. It's time to wake up. We will begin to understand this more as we begin to awaken spiritually, or as our other 90% of our genetic material becomes reactivated. In fact, the best way to imagine a whole being of light or soul is a core extension, extending from the great central source of all that is at the center of all existence, which is pure luminal light. Or we could say that we are all individual sparks of a one light resonating at the center of everything, containing within ourselves holistically the same attributes and elements of the entire light source, since our existence is holistic. From its center, we could conclude that this light in its pure state is the prime source of everything that exists, God. For instance, in terms of our latest scientific breakthroughs, it is energy in its most pure state or highest vibration. Therefore, we could scientifically affirm that before we inherited organic physical bodies, we were considered intelligent because since the universe is holistic and living, we were all perfect functioning aspects containing the same nature of the whole in us. For example, our light body acted as a trans vehicle enabling the soul, the real you, and me to experience and sojourn on the multiple planes and subplanes of the overall celestial realms of the higher light spectrum, or dark matter. In truth, the light body was our original and first vehicle as our souls extended from the central core celestial spheres. It was this vehicle the ancient Egyptians referred to as the Ka body, and in the ancient Hebrews referred to as the Merkaba. There is also reference to this vehicle in the ancient Chinese, Indian, and Tibetan text as well. Unfortunately, this knowledge regarding our original vehicle, the light body, was omitted from our records by the Dark Brotherhood and only preserved in the esoteric literature of the Brotherhood of Light and their various benevolent secret societies of both East and West. Again, all of these energy vehicles are different aspects of the overall light body that sustains the soul, ray of light, the real you, existing in the multiple planes of existence, all the way from the core of the highest vibrating spheres of pure energy to the lowest heavens in the material universe where light ether is converted into different grades of energy matter from the most subtle to the grossest organic. It is also important to understand that some of the beings who descended first in their light bodies to scope the new conditions of the lower material spheres had become disconnected from pure spirit and began to take things into their own hands, acting for their own individual cause, as free will has always been honored as a universal cosmic law. This was the beginning of separation as some of the light beings began to see themselves as individual beings separate from everything else. So the beginning of pride ensued, the original first deadly sin. In this sense, these souls were the first ones to descend as a result of separating themselves from the unified state of a singular consciousness, which is today known as Christ or universal cosmic consciousness. This is the consciousness that unites us back with the whole of existence and prime source. Even though duality is represented by a separation of the one into two, therefore giving everything a dual sense, good versus evil, female, male, etc., duality also serves its purpose in the descension process, for it allows all souls involved in this process to realize their oneness and interrelation with all others while appearing separate. This allows all opposites to integrate as they were in the celestial and etheric spheres before the descent of material duality. In truth, we began as celestial beings with a pure body of light, then we proceeded in becoming intelligence operating with etheric bodies, then to finally descend or coalesce into a physical organic body as a final condensing of our energy field. Also, it is important to understand that when we whole light beings entered the final phase of our descent, embodying a vehicle of flesh and blood, we became only a portion of our total self. And since we are the first spirit, we must descend into matter and then bring down our divine spirit into matter, or ascend our matter back into spirit, this completing our perfection as made in the image of our Creator, who has always in a previous creation cycle gone through the same process as we all are in this current creation cycle. Each cycle is known as one universal round, and as it is a process every spirit being takes in order to achieve the greatest experience and the highest degree of exaltation or ascension. This allows for each soul to explore and experience all levels and facets of the overall spectrum of the unified energy field, with the result of reuniting our individualized unit of consciousness with the all-universal or Christ consciousness. The whole purpose of the universal round is so that all the sparks of light or children of God may evolve like our Creator, that eventually man may ascend and go out there in new cycles of creation into the never-ending realms of cosmos as Creator gods, as done by our Creator God in our current round. After all, our cutting-edge science has now confirmed that there are multiple universes and that the creation of more universes appears to be happening every day as an ongoing eternal process. In other words, since our Creator is all perfect, she provides the same grounds of experience so that all his or her children's sparks of light may follow in the same footsteps or blueprint. This explains why the cosmos operates according to divine laws and why there is a set system, or what esotericism and mystics call a patterned blueprint in the unfolding of everything. It is the same system of involution or descent and evolution, ascent, that serves to create universes and worlds beyond number, all following and being fashioned by the same universal principles of the always existing and expanding Mother Universe. Therefore, since we are all evolving together, we all follow the same universal cosmic blueprint of descension and ascension, as we are all subject to the same universal laws and principles, except that in the descent we tend to lose our oneness with all that is, which serves a purpose, to eventually rediscover that we have lost, reconnect, and in the process inherit a spiritualized physical vehicle as we reunite with our spirit self consciously and by our own volition, allowing our light body to spiritualize organic matter. In truth, the middle heavens became the exact replica of the higher heavens, and the plan was to also bring this same blueprint into materiality. As it is in heaven, so shall it be on earth, that completes the last phase of this grand cosmic unfolding. Therefore, it is important to know that each time the light frequency lowered its vibration, a new layer or vehicle was needed to envelop our soul, core, being a ray of the one light, so that we may further explore the lower realms of vibrating energy to the point where the non-organic matter was born with the precipitation of the 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, and 8th dimensions. As mentioned, the light beings that served the light and maintained connective unity consciousness with the Prime Creator became the most beautiful beings in the first phases of the lower heavens, particularly in the 8th and 7th dimensions, where the descending light being translated into a human angel, the Adam Cadman. As revealed in the previous chapter, at this point of the ascension, all descending beings became enveloped in a material vehicle that would secure their existence in the lower vibratory planes of the lower densities. On each level of the material plane, matter vibrates at different rates. In like manner, the vehicles that enabled us individual light rays to experience the different realms also vibrate to match the frequency of the surrounding energy field within the various electromagnetic fields. It is equally important to understand that even though our light body at this point has had several layers of denser vehicles covering it up, it has always been our prime vehicle, the highest vibrating one, and responsible for transferring our individual universal life force, life currents of our soul into the lower densities. The light body also carries with our entire life's blueprint, for it generates our etheric vehicle and our material vehicle as well as the Adama, thus making us a fully conscious being. Our light body is the electron force that is generated by our soul when we are fully connected with universal Christ consciousness and the blueprint of our untapped crystalline DNA. For example, in the celestial spheres, our light body is at full light quotient potential, meaning it assimilates the entirety of the living light of the great central source of all that is. Therefore, through the full operation of our light body, we are capable of manifesting divine qualities. For the most part, it is the light body that maintains the high frequency of pure light and holds that vibration until it descends into the lower heavens, the material planes. In like manner, since the lower heavens also consists of three major planes, it is important to state that the highest region of the material planes of existence, lower heavens, are considered the celestial spheres of the material planes, perhaps occupying the 12th to 9th densities, and the etheric part occupying the 9th to the 6th densities, where energy matter becomes more solid, and the lowest part occupying the 6th densities to the lowest point of vibrating energy matter, all the way to what we experience as the 3rd density, which is where energy matter condenses to the point that it becomes frozen, coalesced energy still, however, being the same energy fields vibrating at its lowest oscillation. Nonetheless, in the material levels of energy matter, a perfect balance exists all the way up to the 5th density, where we once existed as pure energy beings projecting a perfect etheric meta-material form. In other words, in the 5th density and up of the material spheres, our light body is operating at full capacity, for our current DNA is in its full use. Apparently, as we descend lower than the 5th density, our light body becomes less operative as we begin to assimilate less and less of its entire light quotient, and thus use less of our DNA potential, which for the most part is a crystalline substance. Therefore, our so-called junk DNA is spiritualized substance that exists in the subtle realms of vibrating higher realities. We may also correlate the use of our light body with the spinning of our chakras or energy vortexes as revealed through Eastern metaphysics. For instance, in the second aspect of our material universe, lower heavens, our light body, is less dominant as our etheric self becomes the most dominant aspect of our lower material self. This is a phenomenon known as the Urantia material, as the Morantia worlds of spirit personalities with a humanoid form. For the most part, this has been misunderstood for thousands of years, though today, in the greatest dispensation ever, which marks our planet's initiation into the seventh golden age, more people are beginning to understand this truth. Since the higher spiritual knowledge is making its way back into the limelight, many people are beginning to understand our true composition as made in the image of our Creator, and that we are more than just gross beings of matter. For instance, the higher understanding has restored the knowledge that each human being is a composite of 7 major vehicles, technically 12, though in terms of 7, 4 of them are the lower vehicles and 3 of them are the higher ones. So in truth, we are composed of not only our visible physical body, but our emotional astral body, our etheric double energy body, our intuitional body, our high mental causal body, which marks the 4 lower ones, and finally our spirit body, which in turn is divided in 3. This is the true composition of a human being. We are indeed multidimensional and have other vehicles that currently we don't know exist except for the lower ones: physical, emotional, and mental. Our light body, even though currently not in its full use, is what maintains all our other vehicles in operation, including our mental and etheric ones, and in turn, our mental and etheric vehicles generate the physical vehicle. Our chakras exist in our etheric energy body. This does not mean that their existence begins there. It only means that since the etheric vehicle is the in-between point between the physical body and the light body, it is the conduit vehicle that acts not only as a generator for the physical body, but as its blueprint as well. On the same note, the more subtle light vehicles cannot be seen with the naked eye, but seen under certain energy reading technologies, such as the one that takes aura pictures known as Kirlian photography. In fact, the aura is the energy field that envelops and is generated by an individual and corresponds to the 7, 9, or 12 vehicles that make up the human being. In like manner, our chakras correspond to each of our 7 subtle energy vehicles, the lowest being the gross physical vehicle of your body, the highest being our light body, and everyone in between. Imagine each vehicle denser as it vibrates lower, and more subtle and lighter as it vibrates higher, with the light body being the finest or the highest vibrating vehicle. All bodies exist on different frequencies of the same light energy spectrum. In light of this, we may postulate that we are more than just human, that we are more than just what we see in the mirror, and that we are able to return to our exalted state of divinity as made in the image of our Creator. Thus understanding would bring mankind extraordinary healing and enlightenment. Since our true origin was in the celestial realms, then we are indeed descended celestial beings with great abilities that are waiting for us to harness as we remember our oneness with the cosmos. This great truth is what all the spiritual and religious masters, spiritual adepts who have achieved enlightenment have always taught. In fact, all diseases and illnesses known to man have been the result of mankind ignoring and not bringing into account the spiritual proponents of existence. It is only when we deal directly and become involved with the spiritual, the source of all existence, could we begin affecting life in the most positive way. Since everything that exists, consciously or not, beings or things, has its origin first in the spirit realm and then in the etheric realm before it finally manifests in the physical realm, and that is the process of descension, or what science calls light precipitating into the matter. In light of this, it is well known today that when we suffer from any physical, emotional, or mental turmoil is because one or more of our chakras is misaligned and not spinning correctly, and therefore not processing the proper amount of universal life force into the organs that are causing the disease. This means that all illness begins at the energy level, as quantum physics and metaphysics would mutually agree. In other words, when the subtle bodies, invisible to the naked eye, are affected, the damage is shown in the densest of all vehicles, the physical body. So in this case, any illness, whether it be mental, physical, or emotional, begins to ripple first in either the astral body affecting the emotions or the etheric body affecting the physical or the mental body affecting our minds. All our vehicles are interrelated and function as one, and that is why materialistic science could never find real cures in chemically man-made remedies like the pharmacy. While they are busy tackling the problems, examining only the gross, most dense aspect of our total being, our physical body, which is ineffective, the real root and cure of all problems lays in the energy subtle bodies, and there are 7 spinning wheels, the chakras. If science considered and began to explore the spiritual side of things, we would have a perfect understanding of how the physical world works, thus solving our problems. Each subtle body has certain responsibilities and functions at the same time. They all operate as one, the physical aspect being the only one we see. Picture our physical body as one layer of various layers that make up our entire being, and at the core lay the true self, which is our soul, pure celestial essence. In addition, each chakra, spinning wheel of light, corresponding to each of our 7 vehicles, carries a ray color tone and vibration likened to the prism of light. As known in Eastern metaphysics, these colors are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and indigo, pertaining to the 7 major rays. It is the chakra's colors that determine its function, purpose, and energy. For example, the first or root chakra, which is characterized by red, represents survival, willpower, and our ability to be well grounded into the earth. The second chakra, characterized by orange, is also known as the sacral or sex chakra, which represents our pleasure and governs our emotions. It is the seat of our ability to self-heal because orange is the color of healing. The third chakra is known as the center of our power, corresponding to our solar plexus, and yellow characterizes it. This chakra is also known as our inner sun, and its function governs our individual power and how we relate to others. When our bowel, spleen, and liver are in good condition, it is because our solar plexus chakra is facilitating the right energy needed for those organs to work. The fourth chakra is in our heart area, represented by green, and it governs our cardiovascular system, making sure all our blood flows properly throughout the entire body. This is also the seat of compassion that gives way to the understanding that we are all one. The fifth chakra is in our throat, marked by blue, signifying truth and our ability to communicate properly. The sixth chakra is located in the middle of our eyes. Its color is purple, and it is known as our third eye, which gives us a spiritual vision to see into other realities, as it is connected to our pineal and pituitary glands that govern our higher mental faculties. When this chakra is fully functioning, we begin to see with our third eye and acquire extrasensory perception, capable of piercing the veil into the higher levels of reality. It is unfortunate that this chakra has not been in full use, but then again, all our chakras are not in their full use, as to why our physical bodies age and die eventually. If our 7 seals, as described in the book of Revelation, chakras, processed the full potential of our light body, we would become immortal. If we learned how to properly clear and align all chakras, we would never get sick and never age. The last chakra is known as the crown chakra, and it's the most important one. This chakra, if counting from the top down, would really be the first chakra, for it connects us to our light body in the higher spiritual realms as it pours down universal life force into our other chakras in order to maintain all of our bodies functioning properly and in harmony. Its color is indigo, and if it was fully opened, we would become great spiritual giants. As spiritual beings, we must realize and take care of our subtle vehicles by clearing and balancing out our chakras through proper diet, exercise, positive thinking, and good motives. Our chakras are our channels to those vehicles, and only when all 7 chakras are spinning and functioning the way they're supposed to, we will be completely healed on all levels of our existence. As we learn more about our cosmos in the next segment, we will come to find out that our light bodies are connected to what is known as the great central suns. And that is why at a solar planetary level, all lower vehicles are sustained by cosmic energy that is being transmitted by our sun, which in turn gets the energy universal life force from the great central sun at the center of our galaxy. Also, we would soon come to find out that our solar system is an entity on a macro scale of evolution, just like our Earth is also a living being. In fact, the great spirit that animates our solar system is known as Helios Investa, who was originally born with a family of 12 planets. In fact, as revealed through the new science, that everything in our cosmos is alive, and that we humans on planet Earth, in a sense, are like cells in a greater body known as our solar system. In turn, our solar system, with other solar systems, form organs in a greater body or being known as our galaxy, which is a macro being known as Melchior, hence the Milky Way galaxy, who is a being that holds and exists in 12 dimensions all at once. The beauty of this sequence and the holographic concept of reality is that no matter in which direction we go, everything is interconnected, as the trillions of cells in our individual bodies are, all working together for the total functioning of our physical body. In like manner, we may say that all the universes are all different organs and aspects of the greatest macro being in our existence, known as the central universe motherverse, or metaverse, as referred to by our cutting-edge science. Again, and for the record, let it be clear that all life-sustaining nourishment is facilitated to all of our entire beings by our light body, and since all life is energy, and in turn all energy is converted in refracted light, then our nourishment comes directly from the light source, the same substance that we are made out of, which again is generated by our sun, the physical source and symbol of our Creator's power on the lower material spheres. In fact, it is now understood that if it wasn't for the existence and the energy that comes from our sun, there would be no life in any of the planets in our solar system. There is more to our sun than just burning giant gaseous ball of hydrogen and helium. The sun has spiritual significance, and its role is greater than what we have been led to believe. The sun obviously has a direct relationship with all of our light bodies, and it also transmits energy through its own chakras from the central sun at the center of our galaxy. In truth, it is crucial that mankind begins to understand the true nature of our existence in relation to our entire composition as made in the image of our Creator. Therefore, in spite of the materialistic one-sided view of linear reality, our evolution was never meant to be just operating on a physical level, but rather a long spiritual process, since in essence, we are light beings expressing a human experience, so that we may become more like our Creator. So let it be established, as we prepare to take up our new evolutionary route, our origin began in the always existing celestial realms, and as the process of descending involution occurred, we began to take form and shape until we became human, which is the lowest point of light condensation into a material being. This was no accident order, of course. It was the divine plan of our prime Creator to facilitate further expansion of the always existing grand central motherverse, which is expanding one space level at a time. In addition, we can also conclude that mankind was God's ultimate masterpiece in the grand scheme of things as to why our Creator decided to make the material realms. In other words, to be human is to be divine, celestial, spiritual beings in matter, and that is why every single one of us is a manifestation of divinity in the flesh. We are great spiritual beings of light, projected out from the point of pure energy, pure light, which is the essence of all that is. The facts are that we are all the sons and daughters of the living God, the source of all existence, without end and without beginning. In the scriptures, Jesus the Christ states perhaps two of the most important yet misunderstood meanings in the Bible. In the book of John, Jesus states, "For isn't it written in your own language that ye are gods?" That is, different aspects of the one eternal light that burns inside us all as the Christ within each. That the Christ within, which is our original divine self, for all of you are living daughters and sons of the living God. Secondly, for you shall do the same or greater works than me, said Jesus. In truth, Christ taught and demonstrated ascension, integration of light body and matter. He came to show us the way to ascend back to the Father's universal mind, which sees no difference. I and the Father are one, as I and you are one, implying that we are all celestial beings, different aspects of the great central source. The Christ within, or cosmic universal consciousness, is a concept we all must know, come to know, understand, cultivate, and implement for us to achieve our full divine inherent potential. In conclusion, we originated as pure light beings that gradually descended into this limited experience. The hour, though, has come for mankind to take their rightful place in the universe as made in the image and similitude of God Almighty, the source, light of all that is. We have been in spiritual darkness for thousands of years about who we really are as children of the highest God, light. Wake up to your divinity, for the time is at hand. And when we return, my friends and family, we will pick it up at chapter 5. The universe is bigger than we were told. And we leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. Until then, my friends.